What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to, what is this, week 14? Because we took a Thanksgiving week off. At a David and Dan here. Hopefully we came back refreshed like NFL players theoretically do after a bye week. But I don't know about you, Dave. I don't know if refreshed is the right word to describe it. More like I feel like an overweight fat bastard, because it's never just Thanksgiving, and it's never even just the post-Thanksgiving. Oh, well, you got to eat those leftovers. You got to, come on, man. You can't just leave them in the fridge. It's just a leftover, because then it's Saturday, and then you say, well, it's a holiday weekend, and then you're already at Sunday watching the NFL, and you can just greenlight even more disgust. So this is now going to be, oh my God, theoretically, they're going to say, no, but come on, it's almost Christmas, and we're just going to green light being a slob, and then we're going to be the diet starts on New Year's. And then what happens? You go out New Year's Eve or something, and then you're home late, and it's the first, and you're already eating. And then you go, no, but I'm going to start the first Monday. Now you're at the first Monday on New Year's, and your year is off to a miserable start. You've already said the new year actually starts on the Monday, and it all started because you had to be a slob on Thanksgiving. And that's where I am right now. But hopefully your diet went a little bit better and was a little more disciplined than mine. How's it going? How was your Thanksgiving?
Good, man. I hope yours went well as on top of that. And you guys watching the show too. Good. It was, so I fully greenlit it till Sunday, by the way. I'm with you. Like fully greenlit everything until Sunday. And then as I'm going to bed on Sunday night, I'm like, all right, not doing that anymore. Like we gotta fix things up. And you know what? We have. You know what I did? I'm telling you, man, I grilled up. I cooked a bunch of steaks inside, not outside. I prefer to do it outside, but we did it inside. Yeah. It's cold here lately. Broke out the old cast iron, cooked some steaks, froze a couple of them, put the others in the fridge. And the past couple of days, I've gotten back to straight steak and eggs in the morning, Andy. By the way, can't beat that. Straight steak and eggs, give you that energy boost. Trying to eat healthier. No alcohol since Sunday. We'll see how long it lasts us. But I always get to those points where after I have like a handful of days grouped together where I'm just like, this isn't good. My lower back started hurting because I'd been sitting too much. It's like, all right, let's go. Let's fix it up. If I can go for 2 weeks, fall back into a 3-day slump and then get back out of it, that's no terrible way to live.
No, that's a great way to live. I struggle once I'm slumping. I'm one of these MLB guys. I'm just swinging for the fences, and I'm starting to rack up those golden sombreros.
You know what I do? My internal monologue is insane. Like I'll just berate myself until I do it, because otherwise there's just no turning back.
I fully support that. I fully green like that. I don't understand the people who think that that's some sort of bad thing. And I guess it is. I'll never forget Bill Burr saying, like, these people who get angry about, he goes, I look at myself and I just go, oh, you piece of shit. What have you done? I just don't get how there's any other way. Disgust is the only thing that will lead me away from that.
100%.
Full disgust.
Complacency is where you don't want to be with that. It's with anything. Listen, man, I'm certainly not the most disciplined person you'll ever meet, but that's why I have to do that, because it's super easy for not just like physical health. It's super easy for me to like convince myself I'll do it tomorrow. Right. And then tomorrow becomes tomorrow again. And then you just start getting anxiety over things, and that's no way to live.
It's, they always say it's all about that routine. I just got to get a couple weeks into it, and then we're all right. But then, that's it. I'm skipping Christmas. I'm going full Grinch. Don't call me. I'm not doing anything. I'm staying in a hole, and I'm trying to get back into football, because it's that time, post Thanksgiving, where I really kind of start to focus attention on hockey, because you start to see, it starts to crystallize a lot of the teams, and which ones are real, which ones are fake, and you could start to really try to focus in on good bets that are available. But I want to refocus on some of my football energies here, and I was hoping maybe you can kind of either steer me towards something, steer me away from something, because it was finally time to wave goodbye to DeMario. We played it until it was done, and he the juice has run out on that. So I think finally, after 14 weeks, I don't have to bring up Demario Douglas anymore. He's an ex that we can finally move on from, theoretically.
But it worked nicely while we had it, huh?
Yeah, it was great. As most things in life, you got to enjoy them while you got them. Now, as always, what I try to do with football, I do check out some of the player props that are available, and I don't look at any of the lines of the games so that I can try to predict which ones are rats, which ones are not rats. And as far as I'm concerned, or as far as I've been paying attention, I'm pretty sure this is still a year where the public is doing pretty well, right? I mean, you're looking at a lot of these
better
favorites.
Than usual. Yeah, better than usual for sure. But it's not, I'll tell you something. It's not that surprising. And one of the reasons for that, it's not going to happen every year. But if you actually consider the sample size of an NFL season compared to these other sports, it's minuscule, right?
Yeah.
It's like 16 games a week, all in all, bye weeks and everything. But it's not really significant. You look at baseball sample sizes and basketball and hockey. Hockey, right? It's an 82-game season. What do they have? 79 NHL teams at this point? I saw there was a Utah Hockey Club or whatever that is now.
I bought if you see what's over my shoulder here, the Phoenix Coyotes logo.
Coyotes?
I have
that thing is awesome, by the way. That is sick. I love that.
It was the last one available. I have an affinity for smaller market teams that get robbed of a team. Everyone from the Hartford Whalers to the Quebec Nordiques, and that Utah Hockey Club you speak of. It's just the Phoenix/Arizona Coyotes. They robbed the Coyotes from Arizona, so now they kind of have a special place in my heart. So there were no new teams.
Aren't there more teams? There were 30 teams before. Aren't there 32 now, or 33, or?
So they did add Seattle and Vegas. Those were the two expansion teams, but Atlanta moved back to Winnipeg. So there was some shuffling and a few new teams. How many NBA teams are there?
30 NBA, 30 MLB, 32 NFL.
Well, the only reason I don't mind having 32 opposed to 30 in the NBA, because you don't want to see every single team make the playoffs. So if there's a deeper pool, then that theoretically means that it's harder to make the playoffs.
Oh man, I have no problem with it. I mean, I think I'm all about it. I just, as a non-hockey, it's funny because I play hockey. I've played my whole life.
I know, but I don't want to get into this. I don't want to get into this.
I love it.
It really bothers me.
I will stop playing hockey when I can no longer do it. I love it that much, and your boy can still play a little bit. But I think what drew me out of it, because I used to watch hockey. I used to love it, man. And I still do, but I don't. What happened is I got into this industry and I started having to focus so heavily on basketball and football. Like, as far as the market goes for DFS and betting and everything, it's not the same for hockey.
I get it. 100%. So you might be able to save yourself. Had you become an engineer, you had nothing to do with this industry, would you have just stayed as a hockey guy opposed to the other sports?
Hockey and football. I still love football. I love the novelty of football.
Dave, you are excused. This is a fully excused absence now.
It's true,
if your work and industry pulled you so much into that but naturally you were a hockey and football guy like me, that's it. It's all changed.
Always have been, man. Always have been. My dad took me to the Flyers Stanley Cup game we got swept, by the way.
Yeah, by Detroit, yeah.
Detroit, yeah. You remember that? Was it 97? 97, yeah. I love hockey. I've always loved hockey. I used to be a New Jersey Devils fan back in the Scott Stevens days. And I was a kid, right? But no one forgets the Eric Lindros hit coming across the blue line. But Martin Brodeur was my favorite player maybe my favorite player of all time. He revolutionized the way hockey is played. But I slowly fell out.
That's an argument for a different day.
No, it's not, though. They put the trapezoid in because of Brodeur, man.
Yes, congratulations. He was great at playing the puck. The
was.
reason Brodeur's numbers, what they were, is
because they
the
played
Devils
the trap.
implemented the trap. They had to change all the rules in the league because of what the Devils did. It was like every team became Floyd Mayweather because the Devils were the ones to try 100%. To implement that.
Yeah, everything in the neutral zone that got changed has a lot to do with that Devils team. Which, by the way, if it was brilliant what they did, you do it. We talked about it before the show. If something works, you do it until you're not allowed to do it anymore. If you find a cheat code, you do it. And that's what they did. And it worked. Might have been a boring
There's a delicate balance, though. You do it, but there's also the collateral damage of the sport becoming unwatchable. And now, like basketball, didn't they turn on a dime, go, you can't do 3-second defense. You can't do that. Sometimes you have to do things that make the sport still the sport.
No.
But like I said,
no. If you're winning, it doesn't matter. Like if you're a coach and you're a GM and
I agree. Look, I agree with you.
You have to do whatever you can to win within the rules.
I agree with you. When I play NHL, I'm a defensive rat bastard. Like people hate playing me. I swear to you cannot get a shot through to the net. Anyway, people are cursing at the screen. I know. God forbid.
Yeah, sorry.
We have a post-Thanksgiving. I'm sorry, but you cannot consider him. I mean, it's like the same way we have quarterbacks with fake stats offensively.
Sure, but he was fun. He was a great personality, a great player in the league. He had a very interesting style of play. I'm not saying he was the best ever, right? You had Patrick Waugh, you had Dominic Hasek, and you had some really good goalies back in that time. But Marty Brodeur was a net positive for the game of hockey back then.
Yes.
Anyway,
right,
enough
I will
hockey.
agree there.
See, I can still get excited about this sport, man.
Well, yeah, as long as we talk about 1998 players, then the smile comes back in you, and you're ready to talk about.
Talk about Ty Domi.
All right, Alex, if you could be so kind, I'm going to see if I can sniff out some of the reps and see if there were any lines. I did see one game that kind of stuck out to me. Let's start with, is this the Jets at the Dolphins? And because I'm viewing this on a vertically flipped screen, would you be so kind, Dave, as to let me know the spread that I'm looking at here?
Dolphins are 5.5-point home favorites. They were 6.5. It looks like the Jets team is taking money, as a matter of fact.
Or is this one? We need a name for one of the things, like the Bizarro, where people are betting on the Dolphins, yet they're enticing more people to bet on the Dolphins. Is it one of those, you think? I guess we're going to find out shortly on the donkey charts, because why? The Jets have just lost every way imaginable. As a favorite, from ahead, from behind, there just can't be. Anybody who's bet on the Jets has done nothing but lose their money.
Me.
And one thing I know about scorned bettors, they do not like returning to the team who scorned them. The same way people who draft someone in fantasy, and if someone screwed them, they will never. Whoever drafted Christian McCaffrey, I don't blame them this time around. They'll never draft them next year, even at a discount. Chris Olave, he's never getting drafted early again for whoever he screwed this year. And I think people are not going back to the Jets, but I guess time will tell. There's a potential donkey chart play in there. While I have this, I don't know if Alex, did I text you the picture of plays in this game? Because I just found that receiving chart very interesting. That was a nice quick pull, by the way. I just wanted to ask you about these, Dave. These are numbers we've talked about many times. These are players we've talked about on several occasions. But there is not a player on this list that I see in front of me that doesn't even look somewhat enticing, because as you get closer to the end of the year, you have to remember there's a lot of there becomes more of a, well, who gives a rat's ass? We're not in a playoff race. There's a certain weird offensive freedom that starts to live in teams that were playing very timid, because now the Jets are out of it. They're just out of it. There isn't like, oh, if we can run and maybe bet. No, they're just losers for the year. And now don't be surprised if they just start, taking shots and doing wild things. Maybe not so much on the other side, but we did see Tyreek come alive a little bit last game. There's always the Achane over on receiving. Do any of these things stand out to you? They all stood out to me as low.
I get what you're saying. By the way, I'm someone that has lost money on the Jets, and this is a team, 3 of the last 4 weeks, they've blown fourth quarter leads and would be fourth quarter covers. Don't forget about that. Like 14-point lead against Seattle, 8-point lead over Indy, a lead over the Patriots, and ended up giving a Ramondre touchdown with 22 seconds to go. They had leads in all of those games in the fourth quarter and blew all of them. I think what you're saying is interesting, though, just that kind of, reckless abandon, freedom to do what you want at this point. Miami still has a 10% chance to make the playoffs. They're not, albeit a small chance, but they're not dead yet, right? Like they at least are, like their trajectory out is still good. it's funny, man. If had Tua not gotten hurt, they're firmly in the playoff. Like
And they
they're
threw away. They threw away. I think one. They truly pissed away one of those games.
yeah.
They had a lead in at the very end.
Was
I
it the
think.
Titans game or the Colts? It was one of those bad teams that they should have beat, but it wasn't the Titans. It was another game. Either way, yeah, I don't. Oh, and one more thing, everybody's saying that Tua, oh, he can't play in the cold weather. What a nonsensical narrative that is. And
Yeah.
I'll take the L on it because I liked the Dolphins in that game. I didn't know that they were going to muff a punt at the 7 that it turned into a touchdown. Sorry, just let me 1 second, Andy.
Get it because get
I
it.
didn't know that they were going to have 400 penalties to move them back. I actually fell asleep at halftime because I was like, well, I lost this. And it was late and it was end of Thanksgiving. I'd eaten too much, maybe imbibed slightly too much as well. I wake up and I get all these DMs like, see, I told you about Tua. I look, got through for 365 yards with an 81% completion percentage and no turnovers. So, I mean, how are you going to crucify the guy for doing that when his whole team let him down? Point being, Sauce Gardner probably misses this game. They got nothing to play for. You might just see him come in at home, 76-degree sunny day in Miami, and carve up a dead defense for the Jets.
How about this? If I click over on all 5 of those, do 3 hit?
Yeah, but you'd still lose. Oh no, 3 of 5, not 3 of 6. Let's see. I mean, Tyreek. The problem is the Jets' run defense is so bad that they might just try and run Breece Hall a lot in this game.
Yeah, that's all right.
What's Jonnu at?
Jonnu, what is he at there?
50 on DraftKings, 49 on too much. That's minus 140. You just go for the 50 there. No,
Anyway,
I think you're right.
I think 3 are going. I can't guarantee which ones, but I think 3 are going.
I think you're right. Yeah. Yeah, this could be one of those sneaky higher scoring games. And if Sauce is out, that makes him even worse.
I don't think that one necessarily qualifies for donkey charts, but I wouldn't be surprised if 73% were on the Dolphins.
I think this one does.
Raiders, Bucks. What's the spread on that?
6.5. I'm taking the bait. I love the Bucks this week.
Okay, you see, guys, it's not always we're not playing Skip Bayless here. We're not trying to be the public's adversary. Sometimes we're going to get in your car. We're going to get in your car that you definitely lease to go bet on a public favorite. And Dave is in on these Bucks. I really can't blame you because, you think after that Raiders loss, you get another great performance like that on the road.
The Raiders always play the Chiefs close. Always. Like you go back, it doesn't matter who's a quarterback. They always manage. Everyone plays the Chiefs close these days.
Yeah, true.
But at the same time, Antonio Pierce is an awful coach, first of all. He's really bad. And he's made some terrible decisions. So it's hard to back the Raiders on that alone. But I'm just thinking all right, the Bucks come off. They get the win by the skin of their teeth at home or on the road against Carolina in a divisional spot in overtime. Now they travel back home, non-conference game against the Raiders team that just had the most deflating loss. If the Raiders won that game, it would have been the most impressive win of any team this season. Maybe only to be rivaled with when the Ravens beat when the Raiders beat the Ravens in Baltimore earlier in the year. So they lose on another terrible decision and a botched call at the line of scrimmage, having Aiden O'Connell in shotgun. None of it made any sense. I like the Bucks here. I think they could roll them.
How about those two guys? I mean, there are 2 players and 2 players only who are catching passes for the Raiders. And I mean, I think
they're awesome.
Brock Bowers is nasty.
He's awesome.
He's just that. And he's in the 60s. Jacoby Myers in the 50s. I mean, they were just soaking up targets last week. You could throw on Tampa if Tampa is up 7 or they are up 10 or they are up 14. Could they just get some garbage yards? They have nothing to play for. They could be trailing. Free junk yards for bad players.
Yeah, one of my favorite DFS stacks, because it's dirt cheap this week, is O'Connell, Myers, and Bowers, because almost 75% of the targets last week went to 2 players Not saying that's going to be the case because Trey Tucker played 90+% of snaps. He gets more involved, I would assume, than we saw previously. Maybe a little bit more to guys like Abdullah. But it's just like the clearest two top options with a relatively inexperienced quarterback. So I hear you, absolutely.
Who's that freak running back that they played last week?
Chance McCormick or whatever? No, something McCormick. Sincere McCormick, right? Sincere, I
mean,
think.
That is over it. And I just have to ask it. That's a black dude? Sincere McCormick?
Yeah, that's a black dude.
Sincere McCormick. What a name. Like, I was picturing an old woman with a Irish accent calling her son down for breakfast. Oh, Sincere McCormick, come down for your corned beef cabbage. What a... Irish people, how they get stapled with one meal?
Oh, yeah.
One meal? Corned beef and cabbage? Are they just rolling that out there 7 nights a week? Or does some guy go, how about we try some Italian tonight? What's a second Irish dish?
Well, they're not known for their cuisine.
I know, but what I'm saying is, in a country that's not known for their cuisine, are they making foods of other cuisines like we do here? Or do they just go, look, we don't have good food, and we just roll down the fastball every night. We roll down corned beef and cabbage, and once in a while, like they have some stew. That's the curveball. Is it really that simple? I'm a piece of shit. Our one Irish fan is livid.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you if he was that's why I didn't even know his name until you just said it. What is he a speculative pickup for fantasy playoffs where, okay. But then when you said his name is Sincere McCormick, I was like, is that just some white guy? Is Sincere McCormick with a couple of Irish parents?
Yeah. No, he's not. But also, I would assume that either Madison probably comes back this week, so probably is moot.
Gotcha. One last thing, just because I took it in the 50s, and then it was in the high 50s. Now it's in the 60s. What do you think about Mike Evans? Back-to-back cashes.
I'm always willing to go to Mike Evans. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he's one of those guys for you. All right.
And the Raiders are also just one of those teams that actually is a lot better, believe it or not, at stopping the run. Their run defense hasn't even been a big issue this season. They're like top 10 in run defense. They're also dead last in coverage. So it's a good spot for Mike Evans. I think even Cade Otton could be.
I was about to say, I'm smelling after back-to-back down weeks, they probably lowered his receiving total. Look for some Cade Otton out there. If that's anything under 43, I think I'm pretty happy with that. That would be pretty solid for Cade Otton.
Yeah, Cade Otton right now is there you go, 44.5.
They really got to do it to me. Yep. They really got to do it to me.
Nice work, by the way. That was spot on. Yeah, that's a tough one. Take him to score instead. I bet Cade Otton's like plus 240 to score or something.
Do you think that's a donkey chart game?
I think it might be. Yeah.
Yeah. Good team against bad team under a touchdown. Yeah. Ooh, this is pretty interesting. This is Vikings Falcons. Is that minus
5.5?
5.5. Interesting. We just saw Atlanta look awful. They're saying to bench Kirk Cousins. What the hell?
Well, 3 straight
we're benching
weeks.
Him.
He has a 0 for 6, 0 to 6 touchdown to interception.
Oh, that's
ratio.
not good. That's not good. I guess I'm still in it. I mean, when he came back and he beat the Bucs on that primetime game, then there was like another huge game after that.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty much cemented, but I guess I haven't been paying close enough attention to what old Kirk is doing out there.
Yeah, last 3 games they're 0-3. They got destroyed by Denver. They should have beat the Chargers. Their defense was great against the Chargers. Herbert couldn't get anything going. Ladd McConkey was the only notable part of that offense, and they lost 13-17. He got picked off 4 times in that game.
We have a coaching staff who knows his tendencies, right? This is a theoretical, I'm not going to call it a revenge. He's too nice, but a former team game.
Yeah, I don't think this will. I don't know if this is a donkey chart game now. And I'd had a tough time with this. If I had to, I would lean the Falcons only because the Vikings find ways to win with O'Connell and Flores, like 2 great coaches. They haven't been covering lately. Like they're 2-5 against the spread coming out of their bye. they're winning, but they haven't had convincing wins lately at all.
One thing that I would look, I know he had a bad week last week, but I'm pretty sure that ramp up period is over for TJ Hockensen. I think his line is set in like the high 30s. That's something I would be interested in. I think he's back to like his full participation with the routes and everything. I don't think he's being limited whatsoever. So although he didn't hit last week, these Arizona Cardinals, I don't know what the hell they've pulled out of their ass defensively these last couple of weeks. And I know they lost, but they are making it a nightmare for other teams.
I know.
So that's just something.
Gannon's a good coach. He was the Eagles DC when they went to the Super Bowl. He's a good coach.
It was just earlier this year you could just move up and down on them. So it's always weird when you see that mid-season to late season stride hit defensively. All right, what do we got next here?
I say all the time too. Like I have no confidence ever betting on or against the Cardinals because you just never know week to week what you're going to get from that team. They're so unpredictable.
Other than one guy, and we'll talk about that in a minute or two.
Mr. McBride.
It's unbelievable.
Do you know how many touchdowns he has this year, receiving touchdowns?
I saw somebody tweeted an absurd touchdown score this year. Somebody who has multiple touchdowns who like
Nick Westbrook-Akina probably. He has 8 touchdowns on 20 receptions.
This year?
Trey McBride, this season, he has 8 touchdowns on 20 receptions. Marquez Valdes-Scantling has 4 on 10. I didn't see the tweet, but I was digging into this. Trey McBride has 0 receiving touchdowns on 73 receptions.
He's the poster child for what I'm talking about when I say I don't bet unders on or overs on touchdowns. You can be right about him every single week. Like I predict it, Trey McBride's going off. Give me his over. Give me his alt. Hit. Give me his touchdown. Wrong, despite you being right about how dominant he is. He's going to be my new poster child for not betting touchdowns. The Trey McBride special.
And you should bet his touchdown this week. At this point, you have to. The guy's getting 1,000.
Well, you're that guy? You're that guy who's seen the roulette go red a bunch of times in a row and then say, oh, no, we got to go black. We got to go black.
Because that's way different. Red and black is just a legitimate 50-50. In an instance like this, you got a guy that is getting double-digit targets every game. Like the likelihood, and surely the books price this in, but you got Trey McBride at plus 200, and he's the clear top pass catcher on that offense. I'll take a stab at Trey McBride to score this week. Why not?
So this is a rat bastard, disgusting game that kind of falls into what I was just talking about who on these two teams gives a rat's ass about anything.
Yeah,
this game looks awful. Watch there be a ton of touchdowns in this game. And this is, I'm just thinking of this right now because, I wasn't looking at the games and the spreads. Why are these teams going to give it all defensively? Maybe, I guess the Titans play pretty good defense at home, but is there a real reason to need to eke this one out defensively to just secure some low-scoring win? Well, watch this game have stupid, idiotic, over potential.
It's possible. I just don't know if these guys are Mac Jones.
Yeah.
Is not great.
Do you want to know what I like in this game? There's one thing that stood out to me. And if you just say, oh, come on, look what he did a couple weeks back. As a T.Pollard owner, I can assure you, every week that Tyjae Spears plays, although Tyjae Spears hardly got any work last week, T.Pollard's numbers just chop them in half pretty much, because many of those games Spears got 50% of the work. Maybe because he was returning from concussion, he got very few. But you look at his totals in the Tyjae Spears game, he never cracks these high total. In these games where Tyjae Spears missed, and it's been a bunch this year, you're seeing 24 carries, 18 carries, 23, 100 yards. In all these games, from last week and then 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, you're looking at 30 yards, 40 yards, 12 carries. And I'm going with the under. It's like 77.5 rushing yards. It's something like that because of the opponent, but I'm convinced if they're rolling offensively, why late in the year are they just going to run Tony Pollard to the ground now that like they're out of it? If Spears is back, he cleared the concussion protocol last week. He was active, didn't get a ton of work. I think they're just going to a 50-50 from here on out because why are they doing this to Tony Pollard? It just makes no sense to me.
It's definitely possible. Yeah, I'm not touching the overs on Pollard this week. I can tell you that much.
All right, let's go to that next one that we got here. Giants versus the loser himself. Is that 4.5?
Yeah, and it was 5.5.
I mean, to me, this is easy Giants.
Yeah.
If it's Carr, he'll win this one by 3. He's just a big loser is what he is. The biggest loser, if you go to their Instagram page and you check their picture, it should just be Carr because he finds a way to do it. I'm going to miss him because it's been decades where I got to say this about Rivers and then Carr. I got no one left. I need to find a new villain, but it's not going to be natural and pure. It's going to be a manufactured villain. So what do you think about this one here?
Dexter Lawrence being out for the year is a big deal on that Giants side. Big deal. With that in mind, it does not mean I'm betting the Saints here, but I wouldn't. I get your reasoning because betting Derek Carr to cover is just usually a fool's errand. Let's see, what is he against the spread this year?
Is locked
out. He was out a bunch of games anyway, so it doesn't matter. But this is a full pass for me here. And I don't think it's going to be heavy on either side.
Yo, are they going to stop running Kamara 34 carries?
I think they will. I think if Kendre Miller comes back, you have Darren Rizzi, the interim head coach, formerly the special teams coach. After Dennis Allen got fired, he took over. Remember, Dennis Allen hated Kendre Miller, right? And now you've got Rizzi saying that all brakes or all gas, no brakes with Kendre Miller if he's activated from the IR. I actually would not be surprised with a 4-8 team that Kendre Miller, assume he comes back because he was designated to return and full practice. He's no longer in the doghouse. This is no longer Dennis Allen's team. Dude, I'm telling you, I think there's a really good possibility that Kendre Miller gets a lot of work this week, or at least
seeing if he's available.
There's no chance. Anyway, you're thinking on that. What you just said is exactly kind of how I'm looking at it as well. You're talking about the whole Tony Pollard situation, right? And all this. It's like, yeah, what about Alvin Kamara, though? This guy's been getting more work than anybody. And you're just going to
How is he not injured at his age?
And I know, and also, he hasn't even been efficient. Like, he hasn't even been particularly good.
He's been bad.
Yeah.
He is. You would never know that. Because he's just raking up catches, raking up carries. Sometimes they'll give him 28 carries. It's unbelievable. I just can't wrap my head around a guy who, if you ran up the middle too much in previous years, even when he was younger, kind of got dinged up. How has he made it through a whole season? It's wild, but I guess the season technically is not over. Why don't you take me to the next one there? Take me to the next sniff. We got Carolina.
That's got to be on it, man. It's got to be on it. Eagles, and I think Carolina's the play here.
This is perfect because not only is this a team you know the most, there's some stuff that I like in this game. I was a week, not early, I was right on the money with the potential slight uptick in work for Jonathan Brooks. His rushing line last week was 10.5. And I was like, look, they gave him like 2-3 carries, maybe one, just a few snaps in the first game. This late in the year, it makes no sense to give Chuba Hubbard 95% of the work. Like, they're out of it. They want to see a little more of this guy. I know that he's coming off the injury, and he got to that over 10.5 relatively easily. I think the trend just kind of ticks up a little bit more. And what I saw on Chuba Hubbard is 14.5 rushing attempts. Yes, if this was 3 weeks ago, I'd say, yeah, that's probably pretty good. But with what we saw last week, I think he had 9 carries in a game where they may be double-digit underdogs and they're shifting away from work for Chuba Hubbard. What do you think about that under 14.5, which I saw plus 100 at ESPN.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. No issues there at all. I don't know how much work Brooks gets, but the crazy thing is that you have two outs here. Your one out is that Brooks just keeps getting more work, to close out because why would you even bring Brooks back this season with nothing to play for unless you intend on using him? Your other out is that Brooks still only gets like 6 carries and 20% of the snaps, but they play from behind. So, yeah, I like it. I'll say this much, though. There are 13s out there. Like if you like Philly, you grab them at 12.5, obviously. You like Carolina, you can find the 13. Bryce Young's playing pretty good football right now. Not great, but way better than we ever could have imagined, when he got benched for Andy Dalton earlier in the season. I just think this is the type of letdown spot and maybe not. Maybe they just don't take their foot off the gas. Like Barkley's minus 290 to score, which is an insane number. But think about this for a second. Like the NFL is just so situationally based. It's so much parity. It's such week to week implications. The Eagles are coming off probably the most public win, like not public that they bet them, but publicly praised win all over
the public eye. Yeah.
Exactly. Right. Like anywhere, anyone it doesn't even follow football knows the Eagles beat the Ravens, and it was Lamar's second loss ever to an NFC team. It was in Baltimore, whatever. And then you know what they have next week? They have the Pittsburgh Steelers next week. So you've got the Steelers and Ravens bookending which should be a gimme game against the Panthers, who almost beat the Chiefs, took a divisional opponent in the Bucs to overtime, had won 2 straight games prior to that, one of them in Germany, one of them against the Saints, which was the final nail in Dennis Allen's coffin. All I'm saying is when you're getting 13 here and the Eagles are coming off that really big win and they've got the Steelers next week, I wouldn't be shocked at all to see them. It's still the NFL. 13 is still a very big number.
What do you think about in a game they're supposed to be down by double-digit scores and Bryce Young playing a little bit better, a guy who had, I believe, double-digit targets last week in A.Theilen coming in at, I believe, 41 or 42.5 receiving yards. And, he's that kind of guy who can kind of line up anywhere and everywhere, and we saw how often Bryce Young will target him last year when he went on an absolutely wild run.
Yep.
And he broke down as the season went on. Well, fortunately/unfortunately, he was injured earlier this year, so there wasn't that natural breakdown of a guy in his 30s. You have a guy who essentially played his second game of the year last week, and he kind of went off, and we're seeing a number on him that, just a couple of chain-moving throws will get you there.
Yeah, it's a great secondary for the Eagles, but I do think this is the type of game where you rely on a guy like A.Theilen, for sure. And I don't expect
that secondary. Think about that secondary going back to your previous point. As I talked about on my hockey video, well, it was about Philly. I said, you know what? I like Philly for over 2.5 goals tonight. Look at the Florida Panthers record versus playoff teams and non-playoff teams. These guys are nearly flawless against playoff teams. They get excited for them. But after you win the Stanley Cup, hard to get it up for a Philly 4. And as my friend from Philly once told me, I'm a Philly 6, a New York 2. And similarly, is this secondary are they really, chomping/champing at the bit to defend these receivers in this look-ahead game?
Well, I'll have you know, Andy, that the Philadelphia Flyers are currently a playoff team. If the season
playoff teams meaning teams that made the
I know, I'm kidding. Plus, they were in the same place last year, and they found a way to squander it late in the season. They got a long way to go. I'm not saying the Eagles aren't disciplined, because they are, and I don't think they're just going to look past Carolina. But at the same time, last week was huge. Next week is huge. 13 is still a lot of points. That's all.
All right, Alex, let's take a ride down Jabroni Drive to the next game. Got to love these random buys this week, by the way. I mean, it feels like we're at the playoffs, and it's just wild. I don't know. The week 14 buys.
With 6 teams with week 14 bye. It's nuts.
Steelers, Browns, is that 6.5?
Yeah.
Man, if you take the Browns, you could have this covered until the last second and then not have this covered. So I don't know which way you want to go on this one. I don't have a single blessed thing other than Jameis is going to keep chucking. So if you want to tail any of the receivers, I don't really have an issue with it.
I think the Browns are still in play. I mean, it's gross. We got the full Jameis experience on Monday too, right? And as someone who bet the Broncos at -5.5, it was nice knowing that Jameis went full Jameis late in that game because it wasn't looking good. But he still almost threw for 500. Judy's 5th in receiving yards in the entire league now, after doing nothing with Deshaun Watson through like the first 8 weeks of the season or whatever it was. There's still 7s out there. I think in a divisional spot, Mike Tomlin as a big favorite has not been like Mike Tomlin as a dog has been awesome. Mike Tomlin as a big favorite has not been. This is one of the few trends in football.
This seems like there's going to be 6 Jameis turnover. Like this seems like one of those ones that's an absolute disaster.
Could be. He just beat them outright 2 weeks ago, though. He just beat
but that adds to it. Like he got that one,
I think people are still going to be on Pittsburgh, though.
All right, so now we are at Seattle, Arizona. If you remember a couple weeks back, I said I don't typically give out spreads or money lines, and this was a pick 'em in Seattle, but I thought it was like a Murphy's Law for the division. What can go wrong will go wrong in terms of it was going to knock everybody back to like the same record. And this time around, I'm kind of leaning towards Arizona to have a good game.
Me too.
They had a couple losses there, and now I'm going right back to that Murphy's Law. I'm going to knock Seattle down after some nice wins and thrust Arizona back up in there, and then that also puts I think this is just going to be one big muck until the very final week of the season, and then that guy, man, I never seen. Everyone gets ignored. If they draft the next Marvin Harrison, he's going to get ignored. Even last year, late in the year, this Trey McBride thing, it's unbelievable how often he is targeted. I saw, I believe, a 64.5 on BetMGM right before we started filming. It's something like that. That's a high total. That's higher than I typically like. But Kyler Murray likes Trey McBride more than I dislike taking that total. It's enough for me. He likes that guy so much. It's enough for me to come up to a mid-60s. So I'm going over on Trey McBride just because it's preposterous how much he gets targeted.
It's crazy. Never fight you on that. Also, this is a guy I was early on last year. I was betting the overs on McBride at like 19.5 when you started seeing his snap count and routes run increased. Remember, Zach Ertz was there.
Yeah.
Ertz started getting phased out. And then Ertz got hurt. I think he was done for the year. And then McBride took off.
Yeah.
And now you're seeing just how, at this rate, the 2 best tight ends in the league are Brock Bowers and Trey McBride. Like, Mark Andrews still has something left in the tank. Travis Kelce.
No, not like this.
No, but he made some really fantastic. Listen, had it not been for Mark Andrews high pointing those balls against Philly, they might have finished with 3 points in that. Well,
I don't doubt it, but he's just not capable of 10 for 150 and two touchdowns.
For sure. Like McBride and Bowers right now are kind of your preeminent tight ends in the league, I think, right?
Yeah. Bowers had like 10 for 140 and a touchdown.
Nuts. That dude is unbelievably good.
And McBride, to me, is always like getting, 80s, 90s. It's tough to say. We thought Laporta was going to be a maniac this year. He's doing nothing. His line this week is like 33. So tight ends are in a weird position where all of a sudden who knows if they start to get phased out the following year. But certain quarterbacks continue to look certain tight ends' ways. And McBride with Kyler Murray is definitely one of those connections. So he's someone I'm going with. What do we got after that? Are we at the Niners? No, yes, Bears, Niners. I'm just going to keep bringing this up. Brandon Ayuk is playing. He's playing in this game. And his name, once again, is J.Jennings. Just getting peppered, even in a miserable snow game, was able to get to his over. They could They didn't move the ball at all. You would think, come on, they didn't even, what did they have, 5 completions? Yeah, probably all to Jennings, and he went over his like mid-50s. They're keeping him in the 50s yet again, low 50s. This guy is their only true wide receiver.
Yep.
Deebo Samuel has like
He's the only guy,
25.
yep.
All the routes, and now there's no McCaffrey. If they're moving that ball down the field whatsoever, it's Juwan Jennings. And I know the Bears have pretty good defense, sometimes very good defense. But you know the thing about San Fran is they scheme these guys open with all their play actions and runs and all that stuff. This is just, he's one of these guys, you know what? It's higher, but he's the new DeMario to me. He's hit every single week.
Yeah. Look,
and we're running this one till it loses.
Why would you not? I like him this week too. If you play DFS, I know you once in a while dabble, Andy. DraftKings price him at 5,200. It doesn't make sense. Like he should be more expensive than Deebo at this rate. Unless your argument is that Deebo's involved more in the passing game or in the run game now that McCaffrey and Mason are out. But Deebo, our friend Ben Ross has said he wonders if Deebo's washed at this point. And honestly, I don't know. I
that
don't
playing
know.
style has a short shelf life.
And Jennings is just, you said it. Jennings is the wide receiver one here, both on production and on volume of opportunities. It's that simple.
I couldn't like anything more. So if I lose, I'm going down in it just feels a little better. Like you don't go, oh, why did I? No, there's going to be no second guessing. I'm taking it, and that's the bottom line. And if I lose, I'm not going to go to YouTube comments and blame some sort of miscellaneous reason. I'm going to take my loss like how most of you should take your losses and never will. So what about that game in general? Anything
yeah, I'll say this. I actually think the Bears are going to be popular here, and I would bet. I haven't bet this game yet, but I think the Bears will be popular. Seeing that looking for the dead cat bounce following the Matt Eberflus firing. That horrible loss last week, but everyone saw how close they were to the Lions. Not just that though; it's less about that and more about people watching the 49ers get dog walked in that snow game by Buffalo, seeing that they're without Christian McCaffrey. I could be wrong. Maybe I am wrong. Maybe this is just I'm thinking of this wrong. But I think the Bears are going to be a team that the public likes this week.
Yeah, because I feel that as well. Is there any more, Alex?
Yeah, we got 3. We should have 3 more. This
Rams,
one,
Bills. What's the spread?
3.5.
3. Oof.
I can't bet the Rams here, unfortunately. They can't pass block for Stafford.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, that's just a formula bet for me. You show me,
I
two teams like that plus 3.5. I don't have to think about it really. I won't stress about it. I would take that plus 3.5. What else we got there?
Here's
Chargers,
the good one.
Chiefs. Oof. And that's Chiefs 3.5.
Yep. Everyone's gonna love I think the Chargers might be the most. All right, ready? Chargers might be the chalkiest play of the week.
So you think the donkey charts leads with Chargers?
I think it could be top 3. Maybe that. Did it just move to 4? Everyone went from like Chiefs are unbeatable to Chiefs are so lucky they might be a paper tiger, and Herbert always plays them well. I refuse to bet the Chargers, and I love the Chargers, and I love Harbaugh and Herbert. But I refuse to bet the Chargers because eventually what's going to happen is the Chiefs are going to wake up and they're going to go blow a team out and we're going to go, oh, there they are. Wait, they won the Super Bowl again. It's only a matter of time. It's going to catch everyone off guard. They're going to say, what happened? And as big favorites, I fade Mahomes all the time. As a dog, I always bet Mahomes. When he's in that 3.5, 4.5 range, he's covered pretty consistently. Herbert will keep this game close and they'll lose by a touchdown. How about that? That's my my prediction.
You had your game where you hopped in that Mazda Miata with the public, and you know what? This is going to be I'm getting in there with you folks. I'm getting in that because I, for many reasons, am a Harbaugh and Herbert guy.
Me too. I love him.
So I'm going to go down with the public, but at least I got Harbaugh doing a song and a dance with me. So I'm getting on the +4 Chargers. I do like that. And I'm eating -140 juice on something. I'm eating -140. I'm sorry. Hey, look, once in a while you got to do it. All right, I'm here chasing deals like a used car sale. I'm always trying to get you things. I gave you the under 14.5 rushing attempts for Chuba Hubbard. That was even. So you know what? Let's call that -120, and then we'll take some of the points here. It's only available on FanDuel, so maybe you'll find a better price. Maybe it will change soon. The Kareem Hunt under on rushing attempts was listed at 8.5 on FanDuel. The second week Pacheco's coming back. I mean, to me, it's ridiculous. Like especially after they saw an explosive play from Pacheco, which they're just not capable of getting from Kareem Hunt. To give this guy 9 carries, it just makes no sense. No. They rode him to the ground. They eased Pacheco back in a little bit. There's no reason for Pacheco to not get 75% of his normal workload in this game. He just played a full game, has the full week of practice now, even extra, right? They played on Black Friday.
Yeah.
Why are they giving Hunt 9 carries? I'm eating big juice, which doesn't sound like something you should be able to do. I'm eating juice.
They brought him off the couch and decided we'll give this guy 25 touches a game because what does it matter? And he's fine with it. He's been wildly ineffective, right? Like that's not fair. That's not fair to say. But Kareem Hunt has plotted his way to those big games with just massive volume, right? That's what it's been. 27.5 yard rushing prop for him. Interesting. 12.5 is the rushing. So, 12.5 rushing attempt prop for Pacheco, 8.5 for Hunt. You might be on. I'm wondering if there's another way that we could bet this without having to eat the juice, as you would put it. No,
well,
like
we would hope that a second book. We would hope that a second book puts it at 7.5.
What I was saying is there another way that we can short him? Like, is there a way we can short Kareem? What's that?
Rushing and receiving?
That's probably going to be right. Or
is he catching passes?
Can you take alt unders on the Caesars allow alt?
Only bet Rivers now. Overs.
Yeah. I was saying alt unders on rushing attempts might be the one. Like
alt unders on rushing attempts, the only place I ever saw that was Fliff, and even they got rid of it.
Right, exactly. Because if it goes bad, it goes like you could just. Because I would say just give me the alt under on 7.5 at probably like plus 105 or something, or even, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So this will more markets will open up because he's not listed for rushing and receiving yet. He's not listed for rushing attempts on any of the other sites. Right. Maybe if another site comes out and makes it 6.5, but I mean, I do not see this guy getting 8 carries.
I agree.
I max him out at 7. All right. Then is there Bengals, Cowboys? Is this what night is this? Is that Monday night?
That's Monday Night Football. Yeah.
Here we go. What, are you excited? What the hell? What is this?
No, here we go. As in, this is disgusting. You have a Bengals team that Joe Burrow. I told you this, Andy. I think I bet like a month ago Joe Burrow to win the MVP because in my mind, if they could go on one of those late season runs that he did a couple of years ago, he runs away with the MVP. Runs away with it. This guy's been the best quarterback. I don't care if you disagree. He's been the best quarterback in football. That's more of a statement than it is an opinion. He's been excellent. He's on pace for 4,800 passing yards, 43 touchdowns. He has 30 passing touchdowns, 5 interceptions on the season. And this team can't win a football game because their defense is so fucking bad.
Their coach is an asshole. I've decided it.
Not a Zach Taylor fan?
No, well, because the proof is actually there. Multiple seasons, his team has not been ready out of the gate. That's correct. Literally an indictment on preparation, training camp, and how they come ready into the season. When it happens 3 straight years, that means it's you. Like it's you. You're running a ship that always starts off crooked.
That's a great point. Yeah. But
I mean, that's how you know it's there.
Like, look at this. They've scored over the last 3 games let's see, 16, 72, 99 points, and they're 0-3. Like that's unacceptable, right? Like these games, they're scoring so many points. They scored 38 against Baltimore and lost. They scored 34 and lost. They scored 27 and lost. 38 again and they lost. 33 and they lost against Washington. This offense is insane. Joe Burrow is he's a magician. No matter who's been in and out of the offense, because they've had a lot of injuries, he still figures it out, and they can't win because the defense is terrible. And guess what? They can't pass block either. They still haven't fixed that O-line. And you have Micah Parsons back there, who's a real disruptor. So this is just one of those games where I throw my hands up. I don't know. I sprinkled on the Bengals at -5 because I knew it would move, but that was just because of the number.
I kind of like that because maybe prime time will get. I don't know.
Well, you hope that it's a shootout and that Cooper Rush can't keep up, right? Like that's the only. If it's a low-scoring game, Dallas covers, maybe wins.
Yeah. All right, Alex. I know. For whatever reason, maybe I missed the show so much we went so long. Show me some of those donkey charts and show me.
Wait, no. Hold on. Who do you think's going to be at the top?
Okay, just scroll back up quickly. I just want to see. I just want to see these lines quick one more time. Just one last glance because I think it might be. The Bills are going to be up there.
Okay, I'm going Chargers. I'm going to go Chargers and Steelers. No, Chargers and Eagles.
The Eagles will be on the chart. Tennessee will be on the chart.
This is fun. I think Bucks might be on it too.
And Bucks will be on the chart. I'm going to put Bucks in the top 2.
Okay. Bills, you nailed it. I did say
Next.
Bears as well. I told you the public would be
good stuff. Good stuff.
Bengals. Wow.
Okay. The Saints, you're going to bet on that loser?
Steelers. Okay, we said Steelers.
Wow, these are a lot of the ones that really didn't, but for what it's worth, at least these are down in the 60s, and these aren't one of those. Remember, it used to be 84, 82, 81.
Yeah.
So.
How about the Dolphins? Remember we said that moved to 5.5? You were right about the public being on the Dolphins, which we figured they would be, but it's actually moving in the opposite direction.
We need a name for that, man. Like I
mean, it's reverse line movement, really, but we can think of something fun.
Now this is where I say I'm a full donkey asshole. So a donkey asshole remark on the donkey charts seems like a quite fitting way to end this show. Thank you guys so much for, I know we went a little long, but we had to make up for a lost week. I tried to work my sniffs in with all the games. Those are some of my favorite plays in there. As I like to typically say, good luck to you, better luck to Dave, best luck to me. If there's anything you want to say on the way out, Dave.
No, man. Glad to be back. We took off for Thanksgiving. My power went out this morning right before the show, but we made it through unscathed. So we'll see you guys back here week 15.
Absolutely. All right, guys, take it easy. Remember to do all those things that I never asked for during the videos because I'm an absolute donkey and I need to pre-record these outside the Supreme Court. Like these videos, comment on them, share. That's the only way that these are going to be suggested. I actually have I have a proposal. I want you guys, if you do this, I'm going to insert it into the show. Whoever you are, no matter how decrepit you look, make yourself presentable and shoot the video, not vertically, horizontally, so I can put it. You let people know that I need them to like these videos, to comment something. You could even make up what let me know, your favorite car from the 80s. You going with the chalk DeLorean? You do the little promo read for me, asking people to like, comment, subscribe, click the notifications, do that whole thing. I'll insert it, and we'll get to see who the hell watches this show. I don't even know if I want to know, but if you send me those, you're going to be my new ad reader. Every single week we can have a new one. This should be interesting. Maybe I shouldn't have asked for that, but I guess time will tell. We'll be back with you next week, guys. Take it easy.